Uther invites the Duke and his wife to his castle and propositions her. She refuses him, tells her husband, and the Duke and Igraine slip out of Uther's castle by night and flee. On the advice of his knights, the king, sick with lust and rage, marches on the Duke of Cornwall. While the siege is still on, Merlin the magician arranges a pact with King Uther. He will transform Uther into the image of the Duke and get him to bed with Igraine. The condition is that the child who will be conceived on this night shall go to Merlin for rearing as he sees fit. The child is conceived hours after the real Duke's death, and King Uther later marries the widow. On the same morning, by King Uther's request, two fellow kings, Lot and Nantres, marry two of Uther's daughters, and the third daughter, Morgan le Fay, is put to school in a nunnery and becomes a necromancer. She later marries King Uriens. The child is born and delivered unchristened to Merlin. 2 years pass. In this time, Uther's enemies strike at him repeatedly, killing many of his people. Uther falls sick, and in the hour of his death, Merlin gets him to proclaim his son Arthur the future king of England. After Uther's death, the kingdom is in jeopardy, every baron struggling to seize control. Merlin goes to the Archbishop of Canterbury, tells him a miracle is coming soon, and advises him to assemble all the lords of the kingdom at Christmas. They come and find a sword lodged in a stone, and on it the legend, "Whoso pulleth out this sword from this stone and anvil is duly born king of all England." No man can budge it, and to keep them in hand, the Archbishop arranges a New Year's Day tournament. To this tournament, a knight of low station, Sir Ector, comes with his son Kay and the child Merlin placed in his care, Arthur. On the way, Kay loses his sword and sends Arthur back. Arthur brings the sword from the stone. When they hear of this, the barons are outraged at the thought of being ruled by a boy. They postpone their decision on Arthur's kingship again and again, but at last accept it at the urging of the commons, and Arthur is crowned. He redistributes the land, redresses old wrongs, and extends his realm in a few years, bringing all the North, Scotland, and Wales to submission. Arthur has himself crowned in Wales, and the mightiest kings of his time come to the coronation, among them King Lot, King Nantres, and King Uriens, the husbands of Uther's 3 daughters. Arthur is pleased, thinking they come from love and respect, but the gifts he sends them are scornfully refused. They have come to fight him. With 500 men, Arthur withdraws to a tower, and Merlin goes to talk with the hostile kings. He tells them of Arthur's lineage and arranges a parley, then vanishes from their midst and returns to Arthur. He tells Arthur to answer his enemies boldly, for destiny is on his side. The parley fails, war begins, and with the help of his magical sword Excalibur, gleaming in his enemies' eyes like 20 torches, Arthur routs his enemies. He returns to London, and there Merlin gives him a 3-part plan of war. First, he advises that Arthur get help from 2 kings over the sea, Ban and Bors, and that Arthur promise in return to help with their wars. Second, he advises a midnight attack on the greatest and bravest of Arthur's enemies, King Lot. Third, he advises that the armies of Ban and Bors be moved secretly into the English forest of Bedgrain. This Merlin himself accomplishes. Arthur and his army fight the hostile kings, grown to a league of 11, and bring the battle to a draw. When the enemy is weakened and weary, the fresh armies of Ban and Bors descend. King Lot and his allies are badly beaten and might be destroyed, but Merlin tells Arthur to quit or fortune will turn on him. The hostile armies will not trouble him now for 3 years. Arthur and his allies stop, joyful over their success, and Merlin sees that all that happened in the battle is written down. An interlude of peace follows, a seemingly irrational joke by Merlin, then the appearance of an earl's daughter on whom Arthur gets a child who will become, later, a Round Table Knight. Now Arthur, Ban, and Bors go to help King Lo de Greyance with his war and win it for him. There Arthur first sees Guinevere, and immediately loves her. Ban and Bors return home, and so do the 11 hostile kings, who find their lands overrun with Saracens and other bandits,